Just because you have multiple sclerosis, it doesn't mean we can never say yes when people ask you to help with something. Welcome to another edition of You and Me and Multiple Sclerosis. My name is Pam, and I've been living with multiple sclerosis for 37 and a half years. And today I wanted to talk a little bit about saying yes sometimes, or at least saying yes to some parts of what you're asked to do. Every year, our church does a community outreach that we call the Back to School Bash. We collect donations from the community and use them to get school supplies, bounce houses, hot dogs, and other food and drink items. Volunteers from our church and from other churches provide music, face painting, bottled water, games, whatever will be entertaining and interesting. There's always a lot going on. And the kids enjoy it so much. The parents do as well, because at the end there's a drawing for a backpack full of school supplies, but every student who registers gets some school supplies before the end. They're lists that we get from the schools themselves, and they're very grade dependent, so when the children register, they put down their grade that they're going into. The whole community really looks forward to it. But you can understand that for someone with multiple sclerosis, this is a pretty energy-intensive event. First of all, it's usually in the hottest part of the summer, and we all know how poorly most of us with MS deal with heat. Also, it requires standing for most of the day, if not the whole time that we do this 3-hour event. But the preparation and the taking down of things and everything else means that it's closer to a 4 or 5-hour event for the volunteers who put it on. It's a lot of running around, a lot of standing, and that's usually not something I do very well. And the other thing, too, is, of course, there's a lot of frenetic activity and needing to be paying attention and taking appropriate action when necessary, either giving someone a break or helping with a game or helping in some other way. That's a lot of energy to expend for me all at one time, especially if I have to stand out in the hot weather. So, of course, the temptation is going to be to say, no, I can't do that. But that's sad, too, because I want to help. And, of course, my husband, who does not have multiple sclerosis, is very active in the bash. He helps usually with some of the preparations, but during the event itself, he is a floater who stands ready to give breaks to any other volunteer who needs it or needs additional assistance. He's just generally there to provide whatever's necessary. But then there's me. I'm not able to do any of that. But does that mean I have to say no? Well, no, not really. I determined that there would be some things I could figure out how to contribute so that other people wouldn't have to be worrying about them. And here are some of the things that I decided that I could do. I attended all the planning meetings and contributed ideas and other assistance if it was within my wheelhouse, if it was something that I knew how to do. One thing that I have taken on is assisting with the development of the training for the volunteers. We don't require background checks because we never really can know how many volunteers we're going to get during the event itself that aren't people we knew about in advance, people from other churches, people from our church that waited till the last minute to decide to come out and help. So it would be very difficult. But what we do insist on is that people be trained and carry with them the training card. And here is the card. And here's what the back side of the card looks like. And we've used the same training and the same card for the last few years. Of course, this is the first year we've done it since the whole pandemic thing. And it's just been really nice to be able to get back at it again, let me say. But the training was probably particularly useful this year because, number one, it's been a while since even the folks that have been doing this for a while were trained. And we also, number two, have a number of new volunteers that have never been through the training before. So I do that. And then on the day of the event, I stay inside in the lobby of the church and kind of just sit there with a book or whatever, more or less monitoring who goes in and out, just to be sure that if they need assistance with something, I'm there to direct them or assist them or get the right person. And then the third thing that I have started doing, I just decided to take this on, is that when the students come and register, they fill out a little form that gives their grade and whether they're a boy or girl. And all of those are collected for the drawing at the end when they give out the backpacks. And then those had in the past just been thrown away. But what I do with them is tally them all because no one had been doing that. So I tally them by grade and by gender so that by the end I have a sheet that I can give to the organizers of the event that tells how many kids actually signed up. And that's been actually very useful because it helps us understand whether if we're buying enough hot dogs and providing enough other things, and also whether the event is growing over time. It just gives us some good information that we really didn't have. And I assume we can use information like that in the letters that we send out to potential donors and businesses in the area each year when we're getting the event planned. So that's what I do, and it actually turns out that I enjoy it, even though I'm kind of cut off from a lot of the fun and merriment that's going on outside. Another side benefit is that people, when they want breaks, they come in and they sit down in another chair next to me and they talk, and I've been able to catch up with people that I don't really get a chance to talk to very often. And when I left for the day, I wasn't exhausted. I know a number of other folks were, and certainly it's understandable that they would be because the event takes a lot out of you. But one thing it told me was that I had made the right choice, because if people who don't have MS are exhausted, I know I would have been. I would have been flat out exhausted. I don't even know if I could have made it through the whole day. But thankfully, I didn't say no. But I said a thoughtful yes, and I was very careful with what I said yes to. So that's just an example that I thought would be helpful. Maybe you don't really like missing out on certain things, and you think that you have to just say no to the whole thing. Think about how you might say yes to just part of it, but be very proactive in saying what you will agree to do, or even suggest things that you could do that they haven't even perhaps thought of. Well, that's all I really wanted to say today. I hope you're taking really good care of yourself. We're going through one last heat wave, I think, for the summer. Maybe it's the last one. Who knows? But you do take care of yourself, and don't forget your sunscreen and your hat. And I'll see you again in my next video.